Hi, Miss Nancy again, and this story is about Charlie's first night. Look at this picture. It was snowing that night, and Charlie wanted me to carry him home. Oh, look at Charlie. He wants him to carry him home. So I carried him all the way home. I carried him in my old baby blanket, which was soft and midnight blue, and we were new together, and I was very, very careful not to slip in the snow, and I thought about his name. I was the one who thought up his name, Charlie. Charlie Corn. Henry Corn. This is home. That's what I told Charlie when we got home, and I showed him all the rooms, including my room. I showed him my bed and the place where my mother hides your birthday present when it's the day before your birthday. This is home, Charlie. I said that a lot so Charlie would know he was home. Here he's showing Charlie all around. My mother, Mrs. Corn, and my father, Mr. Corn, were pretty clear about who would be in charge of walking Charlie. I would be in charge of walking Charlie, they said, and I couldn't wait to walk him every day forever. And they were pretty clear about who would be in charge of feeding Charlie, too. I would be in charge of feeding Charlie, they said, and I couldn't wait to feed Charlie every day forever. They were also pretty clear about where Charlie would be sleeping. Charlie would be sleeping in the kitchen, they said, and I thought about Charlie in the kitchen alone every night forever. Charlie wants to sleep in my room, I said. Charlie will be sleeping in the kitchen, they said. We fixed up a pillow bed for Charlie in the kitchen under the table where the heat comes up. And I put my old bear Bobo in the pillow bed for Charlie, and I thought about how I used to sleep with Bobo every night. I put my small red clock between Charlie and Bobo. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. It sounded like another little heartbeat in the night. So here's Charlie, and here's Bobo, and here he puts the clock in. Charlie curled up in a ball, and I put my face next to his, and I waited for Charlie to fall asleep. And I thought about how my mom and dad sometimes used to wait for me to fall asleep. And soon Charlie fell asleep. He made soft breathing sound, and his soft breathing sound made me sleepy too. I went up to my room and sat up in my bed and looked out the window. And the snow was falling all over the city and the park and the trees in the park. And I thought about playing with Charlie in the park in the snow. Oh, they're gonna have so much fun. The crying started in the middle of the night, and you knew right away it was Charlie. Don't cry, Charlie, don't cry. I ran to the kitchen and scooped him up and held him close in my strong arms, and he shivered. Slowly we walked around the house, and I showed him my room again and my bed. I showed him my mother and my father sound asleep in their bed, and I held Charlie close in my strong arms. After a while, I put Charlie in his pillow bed and rubbed his tummy, and Charlie smiled the way a friend smiles when you say, "Hey, let's be friends forever." I rubbed his back and the soft place behind his ears, and he was really, really sleepy. And the moon made its own light that night in the kitchen right near Charlie. "Night, Charlie," I said. "Night, Charlie boy." A long time later, I heard crying again, and I flew out of bed to Charlie. "Don't cry, Charlie, don't cry." I scooped him up and held him close in my strong arms, and he shivered. I showed him how the moon made its own light in the kitchen that night. "The moon did it for you," I told Charlie, and he licked my nose, and it tickled. Slowly we walked around the house again, and I showed him my room again. Charlie wanted me to put him on my bed, so I put him on my bed and thought about how my mother and father were pretty clear about where Charlie should not sleep. Look at Charlie in his bed. Charlie wanted me on my bed, so I lay down on the bed next to Charlie, and we looked into each other's eyes. Charlie had brown eyes, and mine are green, and I told him we could be best friends if he once, and Charlie looked into my eyes, and I looked into his. I love you, Charlie boy. That's what I told Charlie. We didn't mean to fall asleep, but we both fell asleep on my bed. And that's exactly where we slept all through the night, on Charlie's first night. There he is, and there's Charlie. Wasn't that a neat story? Oh my goodness. See you later.